Hello, everyone. Mike was on mute. Welcome, everybody. So I'm just going to be talking very quickly about CPI. What is it that we can expect to see? And do we have any indication that, in fact, CPI will come in our favor and help those crypto markets push to the upside? Well, let me just quickly point out a couple of reasons as to why I think we might actually be in for a bit of a nice time. So first things first, we're looking at JP Morgan. So they have come out and they have said that a soft landing is more likely than a recession, which we're already in a recession. There's no way to deny that. I know that they've tried to just change the definition. Even on Wikipedia, the definition of a recession is now changed, which is absolutely insane. But look, recent data points are pointing to moderating inflation and wage pressures, rebound of growth, and stabilization of consumer confidence as well. So this is JPM Chase coming out and saying this. Now we have, if you have a look at this, is something I mentioned on Twitter a couple times before. If you haven't seen, follow us on there. But we're in a kind of a general downtrend, and this is the world stock gauge, basically. So there could be the potential for this little push towards the upside, because you can see these couple different gray bars here. So, and again, the MSCI, the AC World Index, completes its best 4-day surge since May. Again, strategists are positive on the dollar and earnings growth, which is just, relating to companies, because we're coming into earnings season. Something we have to watch out for if we are paying attention to traditional markets could surprise on the upside, because there's been a lot of pessimism baked in already. Now, what are we going to be looking at? So for today, we're looking at a few different things. Obviously, we've had the UK have said, look, unemployment change is at about kind of like 40K, but the unemployment rate has fallen. Now, this is actually not very good for an economy. In order to kind of squeeze the economy, this is what the Bank of England are going to be doing in the UK, and the Fed are going to be doing in the US. Sorry. And so what we're looking at is now we have these little bits of data coming out from the US. We have the core inflation data and also the CPI, which is this down here, both looking to fall to the downside. What is it that we can expect? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you a couple numbers that I have been looking at more recently, and I'll show you what I think these are going to be kind of pointing us towards. So looking at the CPI, as you see here, let me just bring this up and put on a little red number for you guys. CPI, so month over month, as you see here, previously we were at basically zero growth month over month. Now we're looking at a negative 0.1% growth month over month, which is actually very good, because it means, the CPI is not getting bigger. Month over month is starting to decline. Now, the range for this, obviously no one knows exactly what it is. So they give a range. Now, the range is minus 0.4, which would be fantastic, to around about 0.2%. Now, year over year, that's kind of the number that everyone looks at. That's the headline, should we say. So the year over year is 8 to 8.5. Sorry, 1 second. Go away. Caesar's coming after. Got an air fryer, and my dog is now coming after them with all he has. So the range for this year over year is kind of around that 7.9% to about that 8.3%. But it's more heavily centered around this 7.9, which is actually quite a good thing, meaning that we are more likely to hit that 8% level as opposed to that 8.3 that we have over here. So I think we should be expecting around about that 8, and that's why we are seeing these numbers come out. If we do have, a miss, let's say, and we get, I'm going to go for, hence why this is, I put a little tick here, because if we get 0. or minus 0.1, i.e., move to the downside, and we get in this, 7.7. If inflation comes in anything under that expected 8%, this is going to be extremely bullish for us. And so this is what we're going to want to see, and this will help push the markets to the upside. So we really want to see this. We want to see crypto be able to recover. I do think at the moment there are a lot of different factors that are kind of holding us off. And so as a result, we're not out of the woods just yet. I think we might see a little bit more of that push to the downside. But for now, there's not really we're looking good. We're looking good in the short term is basically the bottom line. We are looking good in the short term. Let me just kind of bring back up the interwebs. Here we go. So overall, we're looking pretty nice in the short term. Two things I think we should mention if we're looking at the stock markets. So Amex, they had their earnings up yesterday, I believe it was. They had the earnings call. Now in there, they've shown that monthly growth or monthly spending has increased more than it had in inflation, or more than relative to inflation. Obviously, everyone's going to say, well, of course, the spending is up because inflation, everything's more expensive. But it's risen at a higher rate, which is something that obviously we all want to see. And then also we have to consider that CPI does take into account real estate. So with that is a lagging indicator, unfortunately. So even if now prices are coming down for rent, for example, in the US, we're not going to be able to see that until about 6 months away. So we might get to the point where the Fed continue this hard tightening cycle, because currently, I'll bring you up, was it investing.com? And then, so here we can see that we're currently scheduled in for a 75 basis point hike. As you see, 87% chance of that happening. That's going to happen next week. They might continue hiking pretty aggressively, but then they might find that it's redundant once, that rent kicks in. That could then drop CPI drastically. And so that massive drop could lead to us being in the clear very quickly. But anyway, that's everything from me, guys. If you have any questions, make sure you drop a comment and we will answer that in today's stream. But we're going live at 4:30 UAE time, 1:30 UK time, and I believe 8:30 in the morning US time. So make sure, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I will see you then, and we'll tell you exactly what's happening with Bitcoin. Thanks very much, guys. See you later.